Welcome back to the Big Red of B Schneid Show. I'm Bobby. Jim is back, and Nebraska's 1-0. It was a bit of a nail biter. We've had a whole week to kind of process our thoughts of what we saw. Let's just start by your initial reaction from the game.
Initial reaction. They didn't show much, which a lot of people complain about lack of a big play or didn't throw downfield. Well, I thought it was a real watered down version of our offense. Kind of concerned about the run game on defense.
Yeah, sorry. Before I forgot to mention this, before we move on to discussing it more, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's try to grow this thing to 75 followers by October. That'd be a pretty high percentage increase.
How about make it an even 100?
Even 100, we're at 56 right now. And a couple months ago, we were around 40 to 45. So it's growing a little bit, slowly but steadily. But yeah, no, you mentioned that didn't see much. Nebraska only had one 20-plus yard play, which is considered an explosive play. Now, Dana Holgerson and Dylan Raiola both said that Cincinnati was playing a shell-type defense where they were going to keep everything in front of them. And that's why I think you saw Dylan throwing a lot of checkdowns in the game. And then the thing is, though, is I still think that was a problem with you mentioned explosive plays because there were moments where Nebraska could have had more. Ja'Cory Barney could have taken one in the house, and I know he was injured, playing injured the whole game. But still, they still got to make guys miss. And Dana Holgerson on Tuesday said he didn't like it, what he saw with the explosive plays. He thought the offense went out and executed. And, of course, they did protect the ball. And then he said even at Tuesday's practice, he was still seeing guys falling down, is the way he put it, instead of making a guy miss. So it's going to be interesting to watch these next couple games, what guys can make a player miss. Because, I mean, these teams they're playing are horrendous. There's no other way to put it. But you mentioned the short yardage thing. I mean, Dylan Raiola completed 79% of his passes. That's something even though they were short checkdowns, that's still impressive.
Yeah, it was. And for the most part, I thought Dylan had time to make some decent decisions.
Yeah. Well, I just got done with Matt Rhule's press conference today, and he was talking about some things within the offense. Now, I want to talk about the left tackle position because he said that Gunner will start again at left tackle on Saturday. And when you look at the Pro Football Focus grades, Elijah Pritchett actually scored higher than Gatula did. I believe, did I put down Gunner's? Gunner was around, I think, high 50s, low 60s for his overall grade. Pritchett scored a 64.6, which was the highest among those left tackles. And Turner Corcoran was one of the worst, or he was the worst scoring offensive lineman for Nebraska with a 48.6. And if you're not familiar with Pro Football Focus, there are a bunch of people that go in and analyze the game, and then they grade them based off of what kind of like a pro grade would be. And it's considered just like a test, Now, about a 60 in this is passing. But if you're scoring some of those, it's a concern. So
what do you know about the
I'm
credentials
interested to watch
that? What do you know about the credentials of the people? What do you know about the credentials or do you of the people grading that?
I mean, it's pretty popular. My internship at Husker Online, they rely heavily on it, and it's all data driven. And you can break it down. Looking at, let's say, a sack on Dylan Raiola. Well, a lot of those pressures that Cincinnati got to were Dylan's fault ruled by because he was holding the ball too long. So they look at it with all different angles, and I think it's a good. You can't use it for everything. Matt Rhule hates the Pro Football Focus. People have brought up to him before, and he says he doesn't look at that stuff. But the stats don't lie with it. And I'd argue it's the most important statistic when you're looking at football, especially because you can look at, okay, who's making a guy miss? Where are these passes going? Blah, blah, blah. You can pretty much anything you could think of. So Pritchett is going to be – I want to watch the left tackle. I think Gatula is definitely their safe option, but they got to find that out before Michigan. They got 2 weeks.
Well, they should be able to get it done.
Yeah, I know. Well, and then on the other side, though, Teddy Prohaska scored a 79, the highest. He was not the highest overall graded offensive lineman. Justin Evans was, but in pass blocking grades, Teddy Prohaska scored at the top.
You know, you gotta give that guy the Golden Heart Award. I mean, for sticking it in there for spending 2 years on the bench because of injury, not playing a damn game. I mean, the guy's still hanging in there, hadn't given up. You got to have a lot of respect for somebody that does that.
Yeah, think about this. Last Thursday night was Teddy Prohaska's first snap in a game in 644 days.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. 2 years.
And Dylan Raiola, when he was asked about him, I asked him, and he just said he's the epitome of a Husker. So, homegrown guy, 3 season-ending injuries, and you and I both kind of wrote him off. You know,
I didn't figure he could recover.
No, I didn't either. I was thinking that maybe he'd do what Ethan Piper did and just kind of be around the team and cheer him on, kind of thing, or something. But all the props to him, and he is, I'd say, as of right now, he's Nebraska's best pass protector.
Well, he's certainly got the size.
And I thought the pass protection was pretty solid. But while we're on the offense, we got to talk about the running back. Emmett Johnson, a hell of a game. He had 32 touches, 108 rushing yards, a career high on the ground. He also caught 7 passes for 27 yards. So Emmett Johnson proved that he is made the step and he can be the featured back for Nebraska. But that's what my main focus is, other than the left tackle on the offense, is who is going to be a guy that can spell him in the Big Ten play. Because Dana on Tuesday said it has to change. They have to get other guys going.
Well, yeah. Simply for just save somebody's life. I mean, you can't carry the ball that many times. You're going to have to spread that around. And he got not carry the ball, but he also got other touches too, counting on receptions too.
Yeah, 32 total. I mean, maybe Bo Jackson could have done that in 85, but that's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Bo Jackson was an animal.
Yeah,
he was a physical specimen. Tackling Bo Jackson was not fun.
Well, and even if you think about Nebraska when they had their bell cows in the 80s and 90s, well, they'd have Mike Rozier, but they'd also have Jeff Kinney to. I'm trying to think of a word. Accompany him.
We missed about 20 years there. Yeah, I understand.
Wait, what? Jeff Kinney played with Mike Rozier, didn't he? Am I thinking of Tom Rathman?
No. Kinney was way back in 71.
Man, that goes to show my 03 knowledge, being born then. Okay, but let's think about 90s. You know, Nebraska had Lawrence Phillips. They had Amon Green, Damon Benning, Clinton Childs, and Tommy Frazier to rush the football. Right now,
they have all those guys like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who I was thinking. I am hip. He was with Rozier, right?
Yes.
Okay,
of
that's
that era. Of that era.
Of that era. But yeah, there was people to complement each other. And the Mekhi Nelson, him and Isaiah Mosey each had a carry, and they combined for -2 rushing yards. So
I'd expect to see the running backs, Emmett getting the start, but I would suggest that you're probably going to see the 3 other backs get the majority of the rest of the game. Well, I would think.
Oh yeah, no, this game should be over by halftime. But
that's what we said before.
Well, it should be.
I remember doing a barbecue competition back in Benkelman and watching that. I think it was like the Thane Cook. You there?
I mean, they got Joe Moorhead as their head coach, but last week Akron lost 10-0 to Wyoming. So this one should be over by halftime. They're academically ineligible. They cannot perform in a bowl game this year.
Really?
So, yeah, and the highlight of their team is their quarterback, Ben Finley, a North Carolina state transfer. He's been there a couple years, but that's their highlight of their team. And I think he went 16 to 38 last week passing against Wyoming. So I just don't see him being ideal. But while we're on the offense, and I'll tell you what, at this moment, Nebraska 4th and 2, and they run the same RPO play, and he throws it to Dane Key. I thought both Dane Key and Nyziah Hunter showed a lot of promise for transfer receivers that we did not see last year from Jamal Banks or Nyziah Nair. Now, Key only had the 2 catches, but, I mean, they were obviously targeting to cover him primarily, and Nyziah Hunter really stepped up.
Yeah, he did. He did. The one guy's out for the season. What was his name that got the torn ACL?
Janiram Bonner.
Yeah, kind of hate to see that.
Yeah, and that's something that Rule and Dana brought up is it's a guy they can't really replace because of his versatility, but they did bring up a guy that could step up and fill that void, or it's his time. It's time to perform, and it's Carter Nelson is what they mentioned. And he's coming off that hip thing, and it took him a while to kind of get back to full speed, even in fall camp, get his feet underneath him. But they mentioned Carter Nelson. This is a type of role that for him to start taking over.
Okay. Don't know much about him.
Yeah, you do. He's that dude, that 8-man player from Ainsworth.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, so the athleticism's there. He can play a wing as a tight end. He can line up in the slot. He's athletic. And I think a guy like Heinrich Harburg as well can do that. And I mean, they're going to have to use multiple guys to, you're not going to necessarily. What's that?
How many plays did you see Harburg in last week? I thought maybe
he played. What? No, he played like 30.
He did?
Yeah. Around there. He was actually Nebraska's highest graded offensive player on Pro Football Focus. Now, really? Yes, he was. And guess what his highest grade, or guess what he scored in the run blocking?
Don't know.
81.4, the highest on the team. Now, there were a couple plays that he totally missed his guy. I mean, he got beat, and they stood out. Yeah. But overall, the guy proved he can play tight end, in my opinion, for the Big Red. And I'll tell you what, a guy that surprised me, and I wasn't saying that he wasn't going to be productive, but was, if I can pull it up, Luke Lindemeyer.
Lindemeyer?
Yeah, I believe
it was a good competition in that.
I believe he had 6 receptions and around 55 to 60 yards. So Lindemeyer proved me wrong necessarily being a passing threat.
I wonder how he graded on your little pro deal.
He was he was the second highest scorer overall, 71.7 on the offense. Okay. Just behind Harvard. So you got to feel good about Nebraska's tight end room, especially with 44. Right. I mean, that's a key weapon. And I know there are a lot of check down plays because of that shell defense, but that's a guy that is a legitimate tight end. And Dana saw it in him last fall. We saw him playing more. And now looking at him, I mean, shoot, he could be another Austin Allen or a Ben Cotton for Nebraska.
Well, don't you think that is kind of the good news is Holgerson took what they were giving him rather than try to force it and force Dylan to throw downfield, which I think is a reflection in your completion percentage.
And it was a weird game. I mean, Nebraska held the ball for 40 minutes, and
to only be ahead by to win by 3 points. That is totally an aberration.
Yeah. So you got to give him props. But this weekend, it's all about seeing the young guys. It really is. And I want to see, if I'm a Nebraska fan or Nebraska coach, I want to see guys, Quinn Clark at receiver, Cortez Mills, 2 young guys step up. You want to see Mosey, Nelson, you want like of course Carter Nelson, Quentin Ives is one I want to watch. Or kind of pulled his hamstring on first day of fall camp, then got buried on the depth chart, but he's back. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. So maybe he can be that guy that Nebraska can. Look at Dante Dowdell last year, was a guy they go to in the red zone.
Right.
So, speaking of Dante Dowdell, I believe he ran for 130 yards in Kentucky's win last week.
Did he? Well, yeah. I wasn't real pleased with him leaving, but whatever. I thought, okay, now what would you talk about being one of the worst decisions of the game?
Offensively?
Or worst performances. We'll give it call performances.
Well, we're going to talk about
player, you can put it on a coach.
We're going to go to the defense after this, but I thought when Nebraska comes out in the third quarter and they are in Cincinnati territory, and I believe what was it, 4th and 5 or 6? It wasn't 4th and 2. I don't think. That was a different point. They go for it, and they give Cincinnati that ball back. When you have a punter that was pinning them inside.
That's the big point.
So
you got a weapon in a punter, and you don't trust him.
Well, it's not that they didn't trust him. They were just trying to be aggressive and play analytic football, which I can understand to a certain magnitude. But when you're not, speaking of that, Nebraska had to be in those situations. They had 18 third downs. That's too many. And they were 10 of 18 on third down conversions, which is exceptional. That's a great percentage. But even Teddy Prohaska said it this week. He said, we're working on, although we were good on third down, we do not need to be in those situations. The first and second down, they need a lot more 3rd and 2s, but you saw a lot of 3rd and 6s and stuff, and it's just, that's a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't evaluating Cincinnati's tough. They were 5-7 last year. They have a good quarterback. They had a good nose tackle, but I think it just kind of comes down to there are a lot of lingering errors that is not going to slide once Michigan rolls into Lincoln.
Right.
Offensively and defensively, which we'll get to.
Somebody was calling that the Kansas City, the Taylor Swift Bowl.
Yeah, well, you listen to a lot of Taylor Swift music.
No, yeah, I'm a Swiftie. All right.
But, yeah, what are you looking forward to seeing this weekend? You'll be at the game from an offensive standpoint.
From an offensive standpoint, I'd like to see dominance of at least 250 yards total offense in the first half.
Yeah, and there shouldn't be an excuse not to.
Right.
But let's talk about the kind of the hero at the end, Malcolm Hartzog.
He wasn't that far from being the dog, too.
Yeah. Well, he got the holding penalty the play before, and then he makes the game-winning play. Unlike 2 years ago, he got beat on the game-losing play to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And as undersized as he is, he made the play, and the team found a way to win. The defense, I thought overall did not. But the secondary, A grade. The defensive line, rush defense,
pretty porous.
What's that?
Pretty porous.
Yes, and that's a concern because although Cincinnati has a couple Big Ten running backs on their team, still, you got to be concerned about that defensive line. Here's the statistic you want to, or Pro Football Focus grade you want to hear about. Elijah Judy, Nebraska's starting nose tackle, scored a 30.7 in rush defense.
I knew you were going there. Yeah, that was
30.7. And Riley Van Poppel overall was only a 54. That was his overall grade. So both guys on the interior defensive line did not perform well.
And I didn't see a stud center from Cincinnati. Did you? Or guards?
No, but you can counter that with Nebraska's defensive end play. Keona Davis, he scored a 68 or right around 69, and Williams Nwaneri scored a 68. So Nebraska Davis is kind of that 3-tech defensive tackle end, but Nwaneri, I was impressed with him.
Well, didn't contain the quarterback on the outside run, though, very well.
He was getting in the backfield, though, is my thing.
Okay.
And I think that some of that had to do with Nebraska's linebacker play.
The linebacker play, I thought, was next to the secondary was pretty solid.
I thought that Vincent Shavers was. I was not impressed with Javen Wright and Marquise Watson-Trent.
Okay.
And their scores weren't worth a damn. Vincent Shavers had the highest score on the team. Vincent Shavers overall scored a 90.3.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And think about that. If Vincent Shavers doesn't make that strip late in the first half, Nebraska loses.
That was a big one. And it puts you up. I think we kind of went in our offense. Well, we're talking about defense, but our offense went into a shell right after that. So, yeah.
I mean, obviously the concern we talk about Nebraska's secondary, that they held Brendan Sorsby to 20 yards passing in the first half, 49 in the second. That's incredible. I don't care who you're playing. To hold a team to 69 passing yards is incredible. Then again, though, a lot of those dropbacks, he was scrambling 96 yards on the ground. And we kind of talked about, we knew that was going to be the problem. So,
yeah, he did.
So when we look at Akron this week,
that's what the offense.
Yeah, when we look at Akron this week, we need to see a defensive line that finds some guys that can plug the gaps and get out in the backfield. And they should be able to. They're playing Akron once again. They're not playing no top-tier program. They're playing one of the worst programs in the FBS division.
Right. I think that's what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to find some people between, because right now we talked about that last week too. You got more questions than you got answers. Now our defensive line play has got to improve in the next two games, or else we're going to find somebody that will, because Michigan will run over this.
Yeah, you get to the second half against Michigan and you don't have they'll wear your ass down. I think that Van Poppel will emerge. I think that he played a little bit of a disappointing ball game, but I think Van Poppel will step it up and be a solid interior defensive lineman because they need him. I'm not impressed with Elijah Judy. The first 2 years he was here, he didn't do much. And, I mean, the highlight of his college career at Nebraska is a block punt, I believe, against Maryland or Purdue. I think it was Purdue. So, or field goal, not punt. But anyway, I digress. This is key. And they might have to play some younger guys, like a Cade gosh, I'll botch his last name. I can't even pronounce it, but he's a true freshman, and he played one snap as all. So clearly they're going to play him one snap in that game.
Talking about which position?
Defensive line.
Okay. I'm looking for who you're talking about.
It's like Papayas Trek or something. I can't.
David Hofkin?
Hufkin? No, Hofkin? David Hufkin ain't ready.
Number 50. No.
He is not ready. We'll see him probably play, but I don't think he'll be ready to go at all this year. He's that foreigner.
Okay. Right. German, I think, right?
Yeah, I believe so. But
anyway.
And it makes you wonder, does Nebraska switch? I mean, they won't legitimately do it, but they might need to go to a 4D lineman at a time, whether they want to or not. And keep the jack. Keep McCullough on the field with them. So you'll have 5 guys that can play at the line of scrimmage. I believe
you're right.
What's that?
With the two monsters Nebraska had last year on the defensive line, you could go 3 down linemen on the defense. This year, I don't see the talent being there to do that. Not yet.
No.
So,
well, anyway, we'll get to see some stuff. It's all, like we said, it's about evaluating the younger guys, and I think that's what Nebraska's coaching staff is feeling too. But the special teams, Nebraska found themselves not only a place kicker but a punter, and it looked like
made a field goal. Last year, we don't know. We could have made some field goals last year too if we could have got the snap right and a ball placement right. Ball to the holder in the whole. Yeah. So we don't know how good we were last year at it. We just know can't get the ball to the holder.
You didn't even have to hear about the holder or the damn long snapper, but Kyle Cunanan gets up there and gets Nebraska on the board. 52-yard field goal, a career long, 2 for 2. You got to feel good about that. And
yes.
Then, of course, Archie Wilson. I mentioned him kind of a little bit earlier. 2 punts inside the 10, 3 total inside the 20, if you count the other 2. So
pretty stellar performance.
The special teams was special. Matt Rule did say there was a lot of things they had to still improve on, and Mike Eckler kind of ripped into the team on Sunday about that. But at the same time, I found that there, even with the punt return game with Ja'Cory Barney, the dude wasn't fair catching him. I mean, he let one bounce, but he's catching it right here with a dude right in his face, trying to do something. That's all you can ask them, and that's more so on Nebraska's coverage team on getting down there and trying to run guys off.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they need to find those. And, of course, on the kickoffs, we saw John Hull shank his first 2. One of them went out of bounds.
That was horrible.
Yeah, and you didn't see him kick the rest of the game. They went with Keona.
Right.
And then the kick return game, Nebraska, that was not pretty. But I'm encouraged with the punt return. I'm encouraged with the kicking. I'm encouraged with the punt unit. So the 3 most important facets of special teams are improved after one game. We'll see if that carries. You won't evaluate it so much against Akron and that. But going into Michigan, I think that Nebraska special teams aren't going to lose them a game. That's not going to be the reason they lose, is what I'm saying.
And clearly they were last year.
Yeah. So it'll be intriguing if they won't. Once Michigan comes to town, I'm intrigued because for a second I thought Archie was going to run one of those.
Say that again.
Oh, I was almost on one of them. It kind of looked like Archie might take off running on one of them. They're saving that.
Well, that's funny. That brings back memories of who was the kicker under Bo Pelini that took off and ran one, and it wasn't called.
Are you thinking of Henry?
Yes. He took off and ran one, faked a punt and ran it, and Pelini clearly didn't call it.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised him. So, and he's a big, tough kid.
Well, let's do predictions for Akron versus Nebraska.
Well, we blew it last week. We both had them up by at least 10, seems like.
I had 38-24, so I was off quite a bit. I believe, what did you say, 31-17?
Right.
Or something. So you had Cincy score correct. So I guess if there's a gold star to give Jim, let's give it to him.
Yeah, being second here is right at the same as last, though, isn't it?
Well, you're technically ahead of me on the predictions. But, yeah, I mean, this one should be over by halftime. I got Nebraska 52, Akron 7. I think it's around 35.5 spread last I checked. I think they'll cover that. They should.
So I don't see Akron scoring.
I think they will late or something.
Well, we need to get some people in the ball game. So yeah, maybe I'll go with, how about mid 40s on for Nebraska to 10.
Well, you got to give me an exact score so we can keep track.
All right, 45 to 10.
45 to 10. So you have Akron scoring more than I do.
Yeah.
And that's just under covering the spread. You're going with the Vegas odds.
Well, no, I'm not really going with yes. I'm thinking that they're going to get as many people in the ball game as possible. If Nebraska gets up, say 20 by 4 touchdowns in the first half, they're going to flood that many people.
Well, it's one of those games where families can take their kids to their first Husker game. Those other people that want to just get extremely drunk before, this is the perfect game for you because, I mean, there's going to be stuff to evaluate, but the average fan that isn't necessarily intrigued by X's and O's and certain depth positions. Yeah, I mean, Dylan Raiola should have a day in the first half. And Emmett Johnson should be under 10 carries, in my opinion.
I would agree with that big time.
There's no reason to give him more than 10 carries. No, what's the upside?
Right. And I can't see the upside for Raiola playing much more than 2.5 quarters.
Yeah, I think you let him play the first drive of the third quarter, and then you turn it into an old school, if you want to go high school term, a JV game after half.
Right. I would hope so.
And
we got to get somebody else a little bit of game experience. If Dylan goes out with a concussion.
Well, that's why we'll see Latif this weekend, that true freshman. And he's going to get some critical reps. And it's a good practice for him. I mean, shouldn't be much pressure on him. If Nebraska's struggling against Akron, this is going to look bad, which I do not envision. They did just beat Cincinnati. But anyway, before we close out the show, Jim, I wanted to get your little analysis of Nebraska completing the volleyball reverse sweep on Sunday. That was pretty impressive.
We were at that game. I had great seats. It's a big stadium or big arena, so we were able to get some tickets, kind of at a spur of the moment decision. That was absolutely an incredible showing by Nebraska fans. I think they outnumbered Kentucky fans. It was more than 10-1 by far. And that thing was loud. It was noisy. The girls came out a little flat. I thought I saw a tremendous talent in a new coach, because Kentucky came out and they gave Nebraska everything they could. They had nothing to lose, and their one player threw the ball damn near to the rafters when she served. She was huge, and she was throwing darts, and they were having trouble returning those, and they were having trouble passing back there. So what Danny did is she made a switch and took the red jersey off Laney and put Olivia in the game too as the libero, and then put Harper on the back row too. So he had 3 people could return those serves and do it good. And it was a momentum changer. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and you mentioned that. Because I turned on the game, and I'm not a volleyball analyst like you, but Jim's our volleyball analyst. But anyway, when she went to Olivia Mock, the coaching changed to do that after 2 sets. I was just impressed, because I'd say majority of coaches in just general would just try to roll with what they got for that game. But to make that decision, I thought took a lot of guts, and it paid off. And I think Olivia Mock, I've always thought she was a better option as a libero. The best option.
Laney's Lady puts out everything she's got. You got it. And she, has got some fire to her. So, and she, Danny said that the decision to start Laney over Olivia is razor thin. So, hey, and Harper is the heart and soul of this team.
Oh, clearly.
Right.
But, well, guys, I'm Bobby Schneider. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week, probably earlier, to get a recap. It was kind of hectic getting back from Kansas City. So we'll have a good one.